right now on 5 on your side at 10.
Tonight, Cold Case. Exclusive new details about a possible lead 40 years after a little girl was found beheaded in a basement. But first tonight, uprooted after severe thunderstorm.
Sparks came in, so it was like a 4th of July celebration.
Plus 180,000 homes left without power.
Another weather first, weather alert for Friday. More strong storms are possible for some of us tomorrow and may impact some of the same areas.
Tonight, a heat advisory remains in effect for most of the region. Good evening. I'm Mike Bush.
And I'm Ann Allred. Let's get straight to weather first. Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell with a weather alert to start the holiday weekend.
You know, we are still dealing with heat and humidity. You can feel the humidity out there. We got a break from the heat in the metro area and certainly to the north and northeast of St. Louis earlier today because of that complex of thunderstorms known as a derecho sliding across the area. At this point, the storms have weakened and moved away, and we should be pretty quiet through the overnight hours. What we're watching, though, the storms that are developing from around Denver stretching up into western portions of Nebraska. We'll keep our eyes on those storms. They very well may form another complex, another derecho tomorrow that will slide in the same general vicinity. That could do two things for us. First, it could give some of us more rain and more wind and more severe weather, but it also could knock temperatures back in areas that do see the rain. As far as the severe risk tomorrow, well, there it is, lining up from St. Louis to the north and to the northeast. We won't know until early tomorrow morning how things are evolving with that complex, if it's going to hold together and how it will impact us. But that chance is there for tomorrow. Outside of any of those storms, it'll stay hot and humid, especially south and southwest of St. Louis. And then we do have some scattered weekend storms on the way, too. We'll talk to you more about those in a few minutes, Ann.
Tonight, hundreds of people in Litchfield, Illinois, are in the dark following this afternoon's storms. The small community is about an hour north of St. Louis along I-55. Our Robert Townsend talked with storm survivors who saw it all.
The strong summer storm blew through Litchfield quickly with a powerful punch.
It was extremely scary, due to the fact of the proximity.
My boyfriend actually had to go out and shut the windows to his truck, and I was so scared because the wind picked up so fast.
Initially, residents woke up to sweltering 90-degree-plus temperatures and high humidity. But by 1 o'clock Thursday afternoon,
at the height of it, it was very windy.
Mother Nature unleashed wild winds, heavy rain, and lots of lightning on the small community of 6,600.
Lightning was on top of us. Thunder was, extremely loud.
Chris Bauer and his son were in their garage when lightning struck a huge tree outside their home on West Columbia Street, knocked down power lines, and left them and their neighbors in the dark.
The sparks came in, so it was like a 4th of July celebration.
A few blocks away on North Van Buren Street,
I was trying to make a bottle for him.
Madison Miller held on to her 6-month-old baby Oliver when they too lost power.
The power flickered for about, 30 seconds. It was on and off, and then the whole house just shut down.
The good news is it appears nobody was hurt and residents' homes were not damaged during that storm. But you can see here on West Columbia Street, it uprooted this big old maple tree. Hours after the storm, sounds of Ameren crews working on those fallen lines, a partly sunny sky, and much cooler temperatures. Indeed, a welcomed relief to storm survivors in Litchfield.
I guess we're just gonna, try to make it work till they can get around to us.
Robert Townsend.
Definitely one of the worst and quick hitting.
5 on your side.
An Ameren spokesman says tonight, right now, about 200 customers in Montgomery County are still without power. That's down from 180,000 total earlier tonight. Crews will work throughout the night to repair the last few hundred outages.
Severe weather is being blamed for thousands of flight disruptions nationwide. This is airlines' push for a rush this 4th of July weekend. The FAA predicting today would be the busiest travel day for those making holiday plans. Brent Solomon is live at St. Louis Lambert International with a look at the situation right now. Brent.
Well, Mike, I've been closely monitoring the numbers here. I've counted a couple of cancellations, about 9 delayed flights here today, and folks who are traveling for the holiday weekend hoping that it won't be a repeat of the recent New Year travel fiasco. Air travelers, get ready for the holiday rush.
Heading back to Savannah.
I'm going back to New York.
Traveling back to Columbia, South Carolina to visit friends and family for the family reunion.
And Trishawn Tolan has already been met with an unexpectedly long travel day. We caught up with him Thursday evening.
I've been here since 12 this morning. I'm finally about to board my flight.
Why so long?
You get a lot of notifications, things have been delayed.
His flight, he says, delayed twice.
They said it was a storm.
Add to that more passengers hitting the friendly skies. Some 2.8 million people are expected to fly Friday. TSA believes that will be the peak of the holiday weekend, surpassing the current single-day travel record set nearly 2 weeks ago.
When I left Savannah Saturday, the TSA line was all the way to the front door. It was like an hour long Saturday.
Thursday, a little under a dozen delays or cancellations at St. Louis Lambert. But with so many people flying, expect the unexpected.
A few bumps in the road.
But you'll be on time for your flight.
You know what? God's got me, that's all I can say.
Over the past couple of days, a few of Carrie Khan's friends were impacted by those travel disruptions.
Not a bad place to be stuck, so they're having fun.
In St. Louis.
In St. Louis, exactly.
All right, tomorrow morning, TSA plans to give us an update right here about what they're doing to handle the holiday travel rush and what they suggest to make sure your experience goes smoothly. We're live at St. Louis Lambert International tonight. Brent Solomon, back to you.
Developing tonight out of North St. Louis County, an employee walkout in Riverview has left the city with just 2 police officers. Within the last 90 minutes, St. Louis County Police confirmed its officers will respond to emergency calls in Riverview from 5 a.m. until 3 p.m. tomorrow. In an email obtained by 5 on Your Side, the Bell Fountain Neighbors police chief told his department they will provide mutual aid to Riverview.
Tonight, we're learning exclusive new details about a potential lead in a case that has haunted St. Louis detectives for 40 years. It involves the body of a little girl who was found beheaded in the basement of a vacant building. She remains unidentified, and so does her killer.
Tonight, our Christine Byers explains why homicide detectives are excited about a social media post and how it could finally unlock the answers they've been searching for all this time. We do want to warn you, some of the details and images in this story could be disturbing for some viewers.
You know, on the surface, there certainly seems to be information in that post.
We caught up with St. Louis Police Sergeant Charlie Wall at the vacant lot where this apartment building once stood in the 5600 block of Clemens Avenue. It was vacant on February 28, 1983, when 2 men told police they went in hoping to find something to fix their car. Instead, they made a grisly discovery when they flicked on a cigarette lighter in the dark basement. The decapitated body of a little girl lying on her stomach.
A cold case of this magnitude, I think at various points over the years, it's received some national attention.
Yes. She was naked from the waist down, wearing only this bloody yellow V-neck sweater. This red and white rope bound her hands behind her back. Her nails were painted red, but sloppy, like any child painting their own nails would do.
It's unimaginable.
And it proved impossible to solve.
Anybody that had anything to do with this case in its early days was doing everything in their power to try to solve it at that point in time. And here we are, this many years later.
10 years ago, police exhumed her remains to do further DNA testing. They've combed through multiple databases that have led to breaks and other seemingly unsolvable cold cases across the country. Nothing has ever clicked in this case. Then, just 1 month ago, this post titled "Trying to Find Missing Sister" by a poster named Finding Janetta on the website Reddit popped up. In it, the author writes she and her older sister had different fathers and lived with their maternal grandmother after their mother went to jail in 1981. The poster says she remembers her sister's father picking her up just after New Year's in 1983 and never letting her or her mother ever see her again. The remains of the little girl, who has become known as Little Jane Doe, were found about a month later. Other specific details from the post include a birth date of May 15, 1973, which would have made her 9 years old at the time she last saw her sister, and within the 8 to 12-year-old age range forensic experts believe the remains fall. A possible name, Janetta Brooks. References to the little girl's father having ties to Terre Haute, Indiana, and St. Louis. Relatives of the child's father confirming that they haven't seen the child since Valentine's Day in 1983 either.
The level of detail that is contained within this post, there seems to be a fair amount of information that could potentially fit with the information that investigators already know.
But whoever Finding Janetta is has gone dark. 5 on Your Side posted a comment asking the author to respond. We haven't heard back, and neither have the police.
You know, we have to hold out hope that there's somebody that knows something, somebody that maybe, you know, just saw a child walking down the street around that time, February 28th of 1983. A little girl in a yellow sweater.
Christine Byers, 5 on Your Side.
We've posted the entire Reddit post on KSDK.com. If you have information on this case, please call St. Louis Police at 314-444-5731. If you'd like to remain anonymous, just call Crime Stoppers at 877-371-TIPS.
A landmark decision on race-based affirmative action on college admissions. Does it harm diversity while protecting legacy? We verify. They risk their own lives to save others.
Just doing the right thing. Again, doing what I would hope someone would do for my kids.
The honor tonight for the Good Samaritans who rescued a mom and her young kids from a burning car.
Heat and humidity, plus the chance of severe storms. We're tracking how long this pattern lasts and the impact it's expected to have on your long 4th of July weekend.
Tonight, 5 Good Samaritans were recognized in Wentzville as everyday heroes for saving a mother and her 3 children.
They were pulled from their burning van on the side of the highway after colliding with a dump truck. Our Laura Barczewski was there for tonight's special ceremony.
Chris Rice and his wife were on their way home from dinner on Friday night, May 5th, around 11:45, when they saw a terrible crash where Highway 64 meets 70 and 61 in Wentzville.
I ran down the highway, went to the driver's side, and the driver, she was getting out of the car, and I know she was banged up pretty good, so I just told her to sit in front of the car, get away from the flames.
Rice says that's when he ran back to the van to save 3 kids that were still trapped inside.
I went to the passenger seat, got the little girl out to the window. Her little brother was standing there. I got him out, and then I noticed that there was another young one in the back seat, and he was just screaming and had the fear.
He says then off-duty St. Louis police officer Chris Scoville rushed in to help break the window and pull the last child from his car seat. I
would hope someone would do the same thing if my kids were in that situation. That's all it was. Some were saying, the highway patrol was saying I was a hero, but I'm not a hero. I was just doing what I would hope any American or anyone would do.
Deputy Chief Michael Scott says the Wentzville Fire Protection District arrived shortly after to find 5 drivers who pulled over to help.
Had they not stopped and helped them get out of the vehicle, he said their injuries were pretty serious as it was. Would have been a lot more serious and possibly fatal.
Those 5 people were honored with Civilian Hero Awards for saving Kaylee Volker, her daughter Tessa, and twin sons Lincoln and Landon.
The fact that it was so late and you all stopped, and you didn't know what you were coming up to, but what you did made all the difference.
Volker says she's glad to be reunited with their heroes.
Thank you.
The Wentzville Fire Protection District's deputy chief says he wants this to be a sign to everyone that knowing CPR and even just stopping to call for help can go a long way.
Laura, thanks. Tonight, a major change in America. The U.S. Supreme Court has overturned race-based affirmative action in college admissions. In a 6-3 decision, the High Court's conservative majority sided with the Students for Fair Admission. The group claimed the policies at Harvard and the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill discriminated against white and Asian American students. Within an hour of that decision coming down, Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey sent a letter to universities and municipalities across the state warning them to comply. In a statement, the University of Missouri system saying, "We will abide by the new Supreme Court ruling concerning legal standards that apply to race-based admissions and race-based scholarships, but financial aid commitments already made will be honored."
As soon as the decision came down, our Verified team began looking into several claims on how this will affect college applications going forward. And many are asking about the impact on legacy admissions. Here's Casey Decker.
The Supreme Court has banned universities from admitting students based on race. The decision prompted outcry from critics who say it'll hurt colleges' ability to maintain a diverse student body. And they argue the court is allowing a practice that harms diversity to continue: legacy admissions. That's when a school gives a student a boost in the admissions process because their family members went to that same school. Studies have shown that at many elite schools like Harvard, legacy students are overwhelmingly white. So let's verify. Did the Supreme Court allow legacy university admissions to continue? Our sources are the majority ruling written by Chief Justice John Roberts and Ben Barton, a law professor at the University of Tennessee, who has also served on the school's admissions board. The answer is yes. The ruling allows legacy admissions to continue. The ruling dealt only with the practice of giving preference to applicants based solely on their race. And while legacy admissions have racial implications, they aren't solely about race.
Those may statistically result in racial bias. And you can figure out which one it is. But that is not based on race, and so that would be fine. And it's the same thing with poverty. You're allowed to take first-generation students or poverty into account.
The ruling, in fact, explicitly left room for factors adjacent to race to be considered, saying, for instance, a student could write an essay about overcoming racial barriers as long as the consideration was based on their actions, not just race. So now, race-based admissions practices have been deemed unconstitutional, but other preferences, such as economic status, where the student is from, and legacy status are still allowed. But those two could eventually be called into question, and President Biden himself suggested legacy admissions should be.
Today, I'm directing the Department of Education to analyze what practices help build a more inclusive and diverse student bodies and what practices hold that back. Practices like legacy admissions and other systems that expand privilege instead of opportunity.
With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.
What would you like for us to verify? Send an email to verify@ksdk.com.
Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell rejoins us now with that Weather First forecast on what has been a very busy weather day.
It has been a really one. Yeah, and there's a lot on this map behind us. You know, right now we're pretty quiet, and we're going to stay quiet through the overnight hours. And the good news is a lot of the power outages that happened just northeast of St. Louis have been fixed and repaired tonight. In many cases, that's not the case up towards Springfield, heading over towards Champaign. Much more widespread outages there. So this upper level ridge, the heat dome, if you will, trying to build over us. And around the northern edges of this, we saw the showers and the thunderstorms, that complex that developed early this morning, sliding across the bi-state area, producing a wide swath of wind damage across Missouri and into Illinois. Some of those reports are consistent with winds over 100 miles per hour and not necessarily associated with tornadoes. That would be the case along the Missouri-Iowa border from some of the surveys we've already seen out of the Quad Cities. So this is a very long-lived and very lengthy windstorm, a derecho, and it basically goes about 400 or 500 miles with those wind reports nearly continuously. So we are settling down right now, partly cloudy to mostly clear, muggy. It's 80 degrees, the dew point 70. We did make it to 95. We were held back because of the outflow. The colder air from those storms surged over St. Louis, dropping us back into the lower 80s. We'll stay in the 70s overnight tonight. Heading into tomorrow, in the morning, what's out in Nebraska right now could very well be sliding our way as another complex of thunderstorms. Whether it's as strong as what we saw this morning, that remains to be seen, but that potential is certainly there. That would hold temperatures back in the morning. Later in the afternoon, though, rebounding back into the 90s for highs. Then tomorrow night into Saturday, another round of showers and thunderstorms expected. Now, assuming we don't have thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon and we are able to get that sun out, we'll have those heat index values, as you saw west and south of St. Louis today, in that 105 to 110 degree range. So again, staying hydrated. We have the heat advisories for the metro area, south and back to the west. Here's your severe weather risk. Guess what? It looks like that upper level ridge, right? Just kind of riding right across the edge of that and right over St. Louis and onto the east. Saturday, the whole pattern starts to shift to the east. So while there's chances for showers and thunderstorms on Saturday, it's going to be in some areas in the morning, some areas your chances go up in the afternoon. And then going into Saturday night and into Sunday, all of us are going to have a pretty decent chance at some point this weekend of seeing showers and thunderstorms. The question is, will one hit your house and how strong it will be? Some of us will get some decent rain. You had over 2 inches today over in Vandalia in just an hour. Some of us may not see much at all. Weather alert days for tomorrow and Saturday. Still some storms on Sunday. Looks like the 4th, though, is mainly dry.
All right, good news. Thank you, Scott. And Corey's next with sports.
Well, we've been used to some ugly baseball from the Cardinals so far this season, but tonight may take the cake. And I'll introduce you to the 3 new first-round Blues draft picks. That's coming up in sports.
The Sports Desk is sponsored by Jim Butler Chevrolet, the Midwest's #1 Chevy dealer 10 years running.
I've thought the Cardinals had hit rock bottom at least like 8 different times this season, but tonight may really have been it. Let's head over to Busch. Waino back at it, coming off a bad start in London, and his 400th career start tonight was not any better. The Astros teed off on him from the jump, 6 earned runs, and just 5 outs recorded for Waino tonight. It was ugly and it stayed ugly, but I still found some moments of joy. Jordan Walker extended his hitting streak to 17 games. Good for him. This kid in the stands made an insane catch to save this other kid from getting hit in the face. Sign him up. And Alec Burleson, well, he got to pitch tonight. He has an ERA of 36, but he also has a strikeout on his resume. Cardinals lose 14-0. It is bad, folks. Moving on, Nolan Arenado was named to the National League All-Star game as a starter for the National League. It's the 8th time Arenado has been named an All-Star. He just beat out Atlanta's Austin Riley for the starting job. Arenado has now been an All-Star in every season of his Cardinals career. If you were hoping for some chaos at the NHL draft last night, you were likely disappointed. If you were hoping to see a bunch of major prospects put on the Blue Note sweater, well, the team had you covered there. The draft wrapped up today in Nashville with the Blues making 6 more picks in addition to their 3 first-rounders last night. You see their names right there on the screen. I was in Nashville for the draft and talked to those first-rounders and the guys who selected them. Unlike the Broadway streets in Nashville, Wednesday night was quiet inside Bridgestone Arena. No trades in the first round. But it did bring 3 first-round picks to St. Louis, including a top 10 steal.
Usually you see picks flying back and forth and everything. It was just a quiet night. People were, I think, excited about the depth of the draft. The old, I can't believe he was there when we picked.
Makes tremendous plays, makes players around himself better. Lots of potential there. We really like the player.
I would just do anything to win every single game, and that's what I'm going to try to do with the Blues. Just try to, like I said, win every game and be the best player possible. And I'm just so looking forward to come to St. Louis and meet all of you fans.
Two-way forward. I think I have my strength in the offensive zone to create scoring chances.
Funny thing, that's my former class back home in school was named after St. Louis, the city. So that's pretty cool.
It was that type of draft where the left-hand column, our first column, was going like very quick. Usually you have some crazy ones that come in from the second or third column, but today it was a lot of mocks were pretty bang on.
All 3 first-round picks are expected to be in St. Louis for prospect camp this week to meet their new teammates and organization.
This 5 on Your Side St. Louis City SC coverage is sponsored by Together Credit Union.
City SC remains in first place in the West. They will host last place Colorado on Saturday night. The transfer period begins next week. It's an opportunity to acquire players from Europe. City said today they are not looking for a quick fix. In fact, the sporting director seems to really like his club.
Other teams hate to play against us. That was also a prediction I made from day one. They will hate to play against us. And trust me, they do. Because even though they don't tell me in my face, I hear it left, right and center. It's not a very nice thing to play against St. Louis. That's what we're going to keep up, and then we will see a little bit later in the season where we're going to stand.
Mike and Anna, that'll do it for sports.
All right, Corey, thanks.
It is too hot to exercise outside. The popular gym letting you break a sweat indoors for free. Talk about a hot commodity. Sales of sriracha sauce are through the roof because of a supply shortage. People are reselling bottles online for as much as $124. The manufacturer has been dealing with a shortage of spicy chili peppers for the past 3 years.
Exercising outdoors isn't recommended right now with the excessive heat and poor air quality, but you can work out indoors for free. From now until Sunday, Planet Fitness is offering free memberships The offer, we're told, is good at any of its 17 gyms in the St. Louis area.
Who needs fireworks on the 4th of July? This Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, Grants Farm is hosting a patriotic version of its Grants Farm in the Sky drone show. It features 150 synchronized drones. Tickets are $12 per person. Some community fireworks displays will start this weekend. For a full list, just text the word fireworks to 314-425-5355, and we will send you a link to your phone. Easy access to all the information about all the shows around town.
And a reminder that Fair St. Louis, which normally goes for a few days, is just one day this year on the 4th of July. Fireworks over the arch. There you have it. 5 on your side at 10. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is next.
Start your day with Today in St. Louis beginning at 4 a.m. and have a great tomorrow.